Coming up today, after grueling marathon talks, South and North Korea reach an agreement to defuse the recent tensions between the two sides. North Korea expresses regret over the recent landmine attacks that wounded 2 South Korean soldiers. In return, South Korea agrees to stop broadcasting anti-Pyongyang propaganda across the border. Plus, the biggest falls on global stock markets since the 2008 financial crash send shockwaves around the world. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Tuesday, the 25th of August. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broome. Our top story this afternoon. After more than 40 hours of negotiations, the two Koreas struck a deal to defuse tensions prompted by Pyongyang's recent landmine attack in the Demilitarized Zone. Let's go straight to our presidential office correspondent, Chae-Yu-sun. Yu-sun, you've been covering these talks for us since Saturday. When did this meeting end, and what did the two Koreas agree to?
Mark, the meeting, which started last Saturday evening, came to a close roughly 11 hours ago at 12:55 a.m. Tuesday, Seoul time. In a joint press release read by South Korea's chief negotiator and top security advisor Kim Kwan-jin, North Korea expressed regret for the August 4th landmine explosions in the DMZ that left 2 South Korean soldiers seriously injured. South Korea has agreed to stop its anti-North Korea broadcast starting at noon today, as long as the North promises to make sure such incidents do not occur again. Pyongyang will also lift its quasi-state of war imposed after the two Koreas' exchange of artillery fire amid heightened tensions. In non-military areas, South and North Korea said they will hold a meeting of their officials either in Seoul or Pyongyang in the near future to seek ways to improve relations. On the humanitarian front, they will have their respective Red Cross offices hold working-level talks early next month to prepare for a reunion of families separated by the Korean War around the time of the Korean Thanksgiving holiday late September. The two sides also agreed to expand their civilian exchanges. Mark?
And Yu-sun, this deal came less than 24 hours after President Park Geun-hye, sticking by her principles, said that getting an apology from Pyongyang for the DMZ attack was the most important issue for the two Koreas. What was her assessment of the outcome?
Well, in a statement read by her spokesperson, President Park said that the agreement was the fruit of Seoul's efforts through a two-track policy of sternly responding to Pyongyang's provocations while keeping the door to dialogue open. She said what's important now is that the two sides enforce the agreed initiatives through future talks to ease tensions and reach a turning point for development of peace on the peninsula. The president then placed priority on helping the war-separated families reunite and hoped for more exchanges between the two Koreas. While some watchers say the North's regret falls short of an actual apology, others take note of the fact that it's a meaningful departure from Pyongyang denying responsibility for the incident. The Park administration is also credited for taking the driver's seat in diffusing tensions on the peninsula and paving the way to normalizing inter-Korean ties. When asked about a possible leaders' summit, President Park's top security aide Kim Kwan-jin said they were not at the right stage of talks at the moment to deliberate on that issue. But having led efforts to ease tensions with the North, South Korea appears to have gained leverage in addressing security and diplomatic issues in Northeast Asia, including its relations with Tokyo, strained over historical differences. Well, that's all I have for now. This was Chae-Yu-sun reporting on the two Koreas' latest agreement to ease tensions on the Korean peninsula.
Let's get more now on Seoul's decision to silence its anti-Pyongyang propaganda loudspeakers. Our Connie Kim is at the Ministry of National Defense in Seoul. Connie.
Well, Mark, if we're on schedule, South Korea has halted all of its loudspeaker broadcasts at the border. Now, this is in line with the inter-Korean agreement where Seoul pledged it will stop all of its broadcasts at noon South Korea time. But this, of course, comes with strict conditions that North Korea will not further provocate mitigate and lower its threat level. Now, if it did that, which appears to have been done, the South propaganda campaign would stop. And we must add that while South Korea has powered down the speakers, it will not be removing them from the border. Seoul restarted the broadcast for the first time in over a decade earlier this month following those landmine explosions at the Demilitarized Zone on August 4th. North Korea's decision to express regret about that incident, a change from its previous stance in which it denied responsibility, is being translated here that the regime has acknowledged it was behind the provocation.
Yeah, rare indeed for North Korea to strike an apologetic tone with the South. Now, with this deal and the silencing of the loudspeakers, has South Korea also begun lowering its military alert level?
Well, the latest information we're getting from Seoul's National Defense Ministry is that South Korean military will come down from its highest level of alert at noon around 5 minutes ago. Now, this is also the time where North Korea said it will lift its semi-state of war status. North Korea says it will move its soldiers and artillery deployed in the front lines back to their regular footing. And also speaking to reporters this morning, the Defense Ministry spokesman Kim Min-seok said South Korea will reduce its alert level according to North Korea's movements. Take a listen.
North Korea said it will lift its semi-state of war status as of noon, and we will carefully monitor military movements north of the border. Our military will stay prepared for possible provocations in the meantime.
And in another development, some of the 50 North Korean submarines that left port on Friday appear to be returning to base. There were concerns as South Korea was unable to trace them on the radar systems. Seoul says it will continue patrols to prevent North Korean submarines crossing onto the southern side of the de facto maritime border known as the Northern Limit Line. We'll keep you updated on that. And we should also say that South Koreans living close to the DMZ are feeling especially happy that Seoul and Pyongyang have reached this deal. This means they will be able to go back to their homes after spending the last few days at emergency shelters. Reporting live from South Korea's Defense Ministry, this has been Connie Kim.
Now, for more details on the high-level talks, let's go live to our Unification Ministry correspondent Hwang Sang-hee. So, Sang-hee, do we have more information about the atmosphere in which the talks were held?
Yes, Mark, an official at South Korea's Unification Ministry who attended the high-level talks spoke to reporters just now to give us an idea of what North Korea's demands were this time around. As you know, we haven't been getting any details throughout the meeting because it was convened strictly behind closed door. Regarding North Korea's expression of regret about the recent landmine incident that seriously injured 2 South Korean soldiers, the official said although the North did not give a clear apology, it did ask Seoul what measures Pyongyang should take. He also said Seoul secured Pyongyang's promise that such abnormal events will not take place in the future. The official said North Korea made no mention of the ongoing joint military drills between South Korea and the United States, nor its nuclear weapons development program. But he said Pyongyang did bring up the issue of resuming South Korean tours to its Mount Kumgang resort that was suspended back in 2008. The North also hinted at a willingness to expand cooperation with the South, saying that it is aware of the various plans for inter-Korean business projects by Seoul. The official said that the Unification Ministry plans to make efforts to hold regular government-level meetings between South and North Korea. That's all I have for now, but I will have more updates for you in our later newscast. This has been Hwang Sang-hee reporting live from South Korea's Unification Ministry.
The United States has hailed the two Koreas' breakthrough deal. The State Department also reaffirmed Washington's unwavering support for the South Korea-US alliance. For more on this and other reactions from the international community, Sun Jung-in reports.
U.S. State Department spokesperson John Kirby says Washington welcomes the outcome reached in the recent inter-Korean talks. He reiterated that the United States will continue to coordinate closely with Seoul in its efforts to promote peace and stability on the Korean peninsula.
Obviously, it was a very tense several days, and we were mindful of that. And again, we welcome this agreement.
While stressing Washington's unwavering support for the alliance, Kirby also praised South Korea for remaining resolute throughout the crisis.
They've been strong and they've been resolute, and we have an ironclad commitment through an alliance with South Korea to help contribute to peace and security on that peninsula.
Other welcoming messages came from the international community. Shortly after Seoul announced the agreement, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon issued a statement saying he hoped the deal leads to the resumption of long-stalled negotiations on North Korea's nuclear program. He also called for humanitarian measures such as reunions of separated families to be held on a regular basis without being subject to political and security considerations. Watchers say that as Seoul and Pyongyang enter into a new phase of dialogue, the South Korean government will now be able to take the initiative in improving inter-Korean ties. President Park Geun-hye's Northeast Asia Peace and Cooperation Initiative is also expected to gather momentum after her trips to China and the United States in the coming months. 손정인, Arirang News.
Now, well, we have some news coming in. We're just learning that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will not be attending China's military parade marking the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II. That is early next month. He will not be going. China's Vice Foreign Minister has announced a list of the world leaders who will be at the September 3rd war event. He said that one of North Korea's top officials, Choi Ryong-hae, will be going as a representative of North Korea. South Korean President Park Geun-hye will be in Beijing on that date, but it's still to be confirmed whether she'll be attending the actual military ceremony. We'll have more details on this in our later newscasts. Now going back to the deal between the two Koreas, and South Korea's political parties have hailed the breakthrough deal, but stressed the agreement will be meaningless unless the deal is fully implemented. The ruling Saenuri Party welcomed the agreement, saying it was possible because Seoul stuck to its principles throughout the talks. The party also expressed hopes that reunions of separated families and relatives from the two Koreas would take place as many times as possible from the agreement. The main opposition, New Politics Alliance for Democracy, also welcomed the deal, saying it was more meaningful as the two Koreas managed to resolve the situation through dialogue. It highly appraised the government's achievement of drawing an apology from North Korea for its landmine explosion that severely injured 2 South Korean soldiers. South Korea's new health minister was confirmed by the National Assembly this morning. Orthopedic surgeon and former head of Seoul National University in Bundang, Jung Jin-yop, is now waiting to be formally appointed by President Park Geun-hye. That is expected to happen as early as this afternoon. After concluding the confirmation process, ruling Saenuri Party lawmakers said they're expecting the nominee to use his expertise to improve the public health management system. The main opposition, New Politics Alliance for Democracy, expressed concerns, however, over Jung's lack of experience in the area of public welfare. The local bourse opened on a good note this Tuesday, attributed to the overnight agreement reached by the two Koreas. The benchmark Kospi started off at 1,840. That is an 11-point rise from the day before, and the tech-heavy Kosdaq was at 625.61. That is a roughly 12.3% rise. But experts say it's difficult to tell whether it's enough to quell fears over China's stock meltdown, as the market has been fluctuating throughout the morning. The Shanghai Composite experienced its biggest one-day fall since 2007 on Monday and began Tuesday at another 6.4% drop. Now, Bloomberg says that it's really China's economic policies rather than Kim Jong-un's temper in North Korea that's influencing South Korea's stock market. And there have been fears that the state of China's economy will lead to more losses in the global markets. Europe and the United States saw their stock markets plunge. On Wall Street Monday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell almost 1,100 points at the start of trading, a record drop for a single day. But it did finish the session higher than that, but it was still down 588 points or 3.6% at 15,871. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ also suffered heavy losses, shedding 3.9% and 3.8% respectively. Britain's FTSE equaled its worst one-day fall since the global financial crisis, falling 4.9%. Germany and France's main bourses tumbled 4.7% and 5.3% respectively. Now, a heavy rainstorm watch has been issued for southern parts of Korea as Typhoon Goni heads for the Korean peninsula. The Korean Meteorological Administration forecasts the typhoon will hit the country's southern cities of Seogwipo in Jeju, Busan and Ulsan today with winds of up to 50 kilometers an hour. The typhoon is expected to drop up to 30 millimeters of rain an hour on Gyeongsang and Gangwon provinces through Wednesday morning. A typhoon warning has already been issued in the southern regions, halting the operation of all vessels in certain areas. Now, this typhoon has already torn through the northern Philippines, leaving at least 15 people dead and several others missing. Well, those are the stories we have for you on this Tuesday afternoon here in Seoul. Do enjoy the rest of your day or night, wherever you're watching us, and stay tuned to Arirang TV. Goodbye.